Hello everyone, Toonshi here. Cartoonshi, if you will. I am back from my prolonged stasis to provide you with yet another video about the Loud House. This franchise is like a phantom that I regularly see at the corner of my eye, waiting until I'm desperate for view. That's enough about the positive impact that Benadryl has on my script writing. It appears that, while I was gone, the cartoon community's scorn was directed towards this freakish abomination, which reminded me that Nickelodeon is still dead certain that consumers want their live-action movies. Truthfully, no one does, but it's Nickelodeon and they're simply too big to fail, even if the adaptation is of a long-dead franchise, as opposed to putting their federal reserve of cash towards something people actually like, because that would make 5% more sense. So it came to no one's shock that the Loud House would eventually fall victim to this.
The Loud House is getting real!
I actually never planned on watching this as I considered it to be low-hanging fruit. However, I am slightly a psychopath and a masochist at heart, and watched it out of sheer boredom, hoping to receive some ironic enjoyment. I promptly left this review on Letterboxd, where I can be directly quoted as wishing death on a fictional child. This is an objectively correct assessment. You may be saying my attraction to setting bad children on fire is a negative trait. Counterpoint: Prometheus does not have his liver mutilated every day for me to ignore the allure of arson. As it stands, a Loud House Christmas can be enjoyed unironically, if you are willing to go through the process of having a frontal lobotomy, or alternatively are the target audience. Saying that, Loud House seems to receive the "it's a show for babies" defense more than any show on Nickelodeon, despite it and the Oddly Gauntly Pariahs being for the same age demographic. Now, I'm not saying this is incorrect, I'm saying you're hypocrites. I'm also aware that this is unmistakably a Christmas film. I am simply long past the point of caring, and Papa Toon needs his ad revenue. For every elf that suffers a heart ulceration from this act of sin, I pity you. We begin the movie, and I first have to give honest props to the set and costume designs, as the bar is quite literally on the floor in this regard. The set really makes the movie feel like a live-action cartoon, and care was obviously put into it. The costumes are also character accurate. However, that's all the props I have. I don't want to make fun of the performances too much because, despite being a devil, I do not take joy in bullying children, as many people felt inclined to make fun of the cast for this movie upon seeing the trailer. I'm not saying the performances are good, I'm saying you stack no paper and get no bitches. Either way, everyone involved at least looked like they were having fun, so as much as I may meme on this cursed product, the cast is not the issue. Although yes, this poster is hilarious because of the very visible printing error in the official release. Some would say a bad omen. Also, when listening with headphones, it is very easy to hear reused sound files during this opening.
Get ready for the 12 pranks for Christmas! It's almost game time for Christmas!
There are a lot of issues with sound files actually, like Lynn interrupting herself.
I'll be safe for a while.
Some of the sound effects are just really distracting though, but in an unintentionally funny has-been hotel way and not in a
Hi, Lincoln.
fucking CinemaSins sound effect. So it's established that Lincoln had ordered a massive sled for the whole family to take out sledding on Christmas Day because he wants to spend Christmas with the people he loves. An admirable goal, however, just like reality, the purest angels are devils in disguise. I bet you were wondering how I would make a Savino joke for this video, how fitting that it would be made from the mocking of his self-insert. Sometimes it physically pains me to hold back my sarcastic comments, but not for sex offenders. Oh, and Lily gets to light the Royal Woods Christmas tree. This is an important plot point. The stakes are high.
Hi. Stop doing that!
All seems well until Laurie calls in to inform the Louds that she will not be able to make it home for Christmas due to the golf tournament she's having and plans to stay with her boyfriend Bobby. Given she's canonically 18, you freak degenerates, she's allowed to make her own decisions and everyone is supportive of her, except for Lincoln. Lincoln is
What?
Not happy.
Let's now discuss the biggest issue of the film. I am of course talking about this annoying fuck. Take every episode of the show where Lincoln is annoying and self-centered, boil them together in a pot of feces, and pray to the devil. The result is what we elites refer to as fatherless behavior. It would be inaccurate if he wasn't adopted. Lincoln in this movie is a sociopath, the worst he has ever been written by far, an uncontrollable, psychologically damaged brat whose mere existence is an affront to God, who performs acts so hilariously evil throughout the course of the film, you forget that the movie wants you to like him by the end.
No, don't do do that. Don't support her.
Your enjoyment of this movie will largely stem from your stance on physical discipline. In the event of Laurie's call, the older siblings announce that they too have their plans for the holidays, and that snowballs into Lynn and Rita taking the rest of the kids to Miami as a backup plan. This would reasonably be considered mildly upsetting to an 11-year-old, especially when Lincoln's sled breaks due to poor spatial awareness. However, Lincoln is so offended by this,
And I really want to go. Can I? No.
that he calls up Clyde to not only sabotage what he's doing,
Ranger Clyde, come in. I found our victim. I repeat, I found our victim.
but to assist him in ruining everyone else's Christmas. Now, Lincoln's actions are not shown to be right, in any sense of the word. I don't care, because they managed to make him so selfish and unlikable in this movie that by the time he attempts to fix everything, you're practically wishing death upon him. Lincoln decides his first victim will be Laurie, trying to find some way to make her come home.
Even though it makes more sense for her to stay at college. We need to make her homesick.
Yes, you heard that correctly. Lincoln Loud is not above emotional manipulation to satiate his selfish desires. I have tried to think of several scenarios where Lincoln isn't as much of a shit as he is here. I have instead come to the conclusion that the story needs to be thrown back into the abortion bin. We're going to gaslight her! So they send Lynn's terrible cooking to her. It works because it's a cartoon. Because if you unironically sent someone this as a gift, they would file a restraining order. And yes, speaking from experience here, I am quite proficient with pipe bombs. Laurie asks for Bobby to drive her over to the Loud House, and Lincoln willingly lies to her over the phone. All according to plan. Lincoln, more than a little unhinged, has even planned out everything underneath his bed, including the fabrication of a murderous monster, and even fakes a live killing that he sends to the local news. This kid is a domestic terrorist in the making. All you're missing is a drop of incel. The next victim is Luna. Lincoln and Clyde used their experience with sentence mixing to create a YouTube poop of famous musician Mick Swagger, offering to play alongside Luna, and confesses his love to her. You may think this description is a joke. It isn't.
Big swagger here. I love to get together and jam. I'll see you spoon.
This interaction not only gets Luna to call off the skiing trip, but also has the side effect of making Sam break up with Luna. Because of course, two 11-year-olds don't know what fucking spoon means. Oh wait, I see their reaction. Yeah, they do. Good on Lincoln for gaslighting an adult and willingly sabotaging the only LGBT relationship people care for in this franchise in just a single day. A small price to pay for salvation.
We've got a big day of sabotage ahead of us.
This kid is so evil, what the hell? The next big plan, as Lincoln describes it, is
We're gonna shoot a fake video of a giant shark attacking someone on the warm sandy beaches of Miami.
this kid is so evil, what the hell?
Come again?
Clyde obviously does not wish to be an accomplice for murder, but is on board with fabricating an impactful story and committing terrorism.
I really want your family to stay for Christmas, but I'm not willing to kill someone over it.
Professionals have standards.
A lie told to the news is only actionable if it causes a major impact, and, well, you'll see later. So instead of killing someone, which I fully believe he had as a backup plan, Lincoln does the next best thing and takes the mannequin that belongs to his sister Lenny, a girl who has very clear developmental issues, and films this mannequin being mauled to death by his creation, the Sharkadile, broadcasting it on live TV, and convincing Lenny that her friend is dead. Again, all of this just because he couldn't go fucking sledding. It's quite funny how terrifyingly evil this child really is. Because of this, the news warns everyone to not go to Miami in fear of this creature. I should also probably comment on the fact that this model looks incredibly fake, which is the point of the entire gag. It just doesn't lend well whatsoever to live action, as it just proves that everyone in Royal Woods suffers from a chromosomal disorder, and gives me more justification to spite anyone and anything that comes from Michigan. The next victim is Luann, as they go to ruin not only her reputation, but also frame her as a nuisance to the place she has her comedy gig at. We can officially add slander to the list. By the way, this part of A Loud House Christmas was sponsored by the Epic Movie Font. Also a reminder for the 5% of you Loud House lore enthusiasts. It is a canon fact that Mr. Coconuts is a sentient being. This not only makes Luann a hack, but it also makes the scene where the kids debate on whether he can breathe in a duffel bag that extra bit fucked up.
My dads always say I'm too empathetic.
Yeah, and they're wrong. Some funny slapstick later and Luan is successfully fired. You may see this as a blessing in disguise, I would agree. It's still really bad, especially when they consistently celebrate ruining their sister's plans and terrorizing other people. At least Lincoln in the show only got to the extent of being a bit of an ass. Here, he's a literal devil child. Back home, the news receives the fake video and informs people to cancel plans for Miami, officially making Lincoln's Christmas plans a success, and he gets annoyingly smug about it.
Right you are, Mom. I'm going to go get dressed up for the Christmas tree lighting right now. Great idea, Dad.
As I so eloquently put it on the 4th of April 2022, I hope Lincoln Loud burns to death. They even have him give a supervillain monologue while dressing up all fancy looking, and I'm genuinely wondering how people came out of this movie liking him. However, I will offer some ironic praise. There is not one, but 2 jokes about Lin getting cucked. Very based. Also on the news, we're introduced to a new character.
Mr. Rape Hardcore!
Who?
I was signing my book, ripping through the jar.
Asked? I genuinely thought for a moment that this character was exclusively made for this movie. In actuality, this Rip Hardcore is from Season 2, Episode 42 of The Loud House, Mole of Duty, a character so obscure and underutilized that he doesn't even have a page on the Loud House wiki. I'm not sure why they would use this character unless it was for continuity reasons, which is a whole different can of worms, because this character isn't actually Rip Hardcore. It is instead a complete spastic. I don't say that to be ableist to myself. It is merely a fact, being a stereotype of hardcore survival characters and freely assaulting a guy holding up a boom mic on live television. Can't have shit down in Michigan. From what I could tell, Rip Hardcore was hardcore, only what he accomplished, and was surprisingly chill. Truthfully, I don't actually care. I just find it funny that they pulled this character back for an attempt at continuity, and then just made a completely different one anyway for the sake of giving the movie a generic antagonist. Back at home, Lincoln suddenly develops a conscience seeing all of his family upset with their plans ruined. It amazes me how he didn't see this coming. If his actions were less drastic and plain sadistic, you could say his reaction here is realistic, but a kid who's smart enough to plan out all of this monumental horse shit should probably have at least some form of emotional intelligence. Making Lincoln a Disney Channel tier supervillain is undoubtedly the movie's biggest mistake. It's not funny, it's not compelling, and it's certainly guaranteed to piss you off. If I was unshackled from the psychotic oppression of functioning society, you may have even seen animated atrocity in the title of this video.
This film takes place less than a year after the September 11 terrorist attacks.
Although I will admit, this interaction here was so bizarrely stupid that I audibly chuckled.
You broke up with me because I picked jamming with McSwagger over going skiing with her. And what? That wasn't supposed to happen. I mean...
Also, Lenny got fired because she lost her mannequin. I'm going to assume they didn't mind her taking valuable work equipment home with her, sometimes for several days. Seems a little stingy, but we'll add it to the list of sins. Luan then contemplates quitting comedy entirely because she got fired from her gig and, okay, I see what they're doing here. They are artificially creating problems now that didn't seem like logical consequences, just so you can feel bad for Lincoln for not actually seeing these ones coming, because they don't make any fucking sense. Not only is this writing horrendous, one might even say schizophrenic, but it also doesn't alleviate the other consequences that made sense that Lincoln could have seen reasonably coming if he wasn't dumbed down for plot convenience, or the fact that Lincoln was an evil little gremlin to begin with. It is another classic Loud House trope, the unearned emotional scene. Symptoms upon viewing it may include a loss of the will to live, or in my case, psychopathic laughing fits.
Because I'm never speaking to Pop-Up again.
I might as well quit comedy too.
What? How does that compute? Also, while whoever played Luan did an okay job, arguments between her and Mr. Coconuts aren't nearly as quirky as they are when animated and are instead catalyst for several questions, such as, take your kids to a mental institution, you fat fuck.
It's not all about you, Mr. Coconut!
But not all hope is lost as Lisa develops a supposed cure for the Crocodile, somehow, which will give them the illusion that they can safely travel to Miami without—
That sounds incredibly dangerous. Am I right?
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
In the wise words of Tupac, "What, you egg?" He stabs him. This completely undoes any development Lincoln might have had from seeing his family upset, once again putting his selfishness forward in an act of unbridled, for the sake of not being cancelled, tomfoolery, choosing to spray the substance directly into Lin's face to see if it worked, causing him to lose complete control of his motor functions and somehow reduces his scarily low IQ into single digits. Just a reminder that Lincoln receives no punishment for this that is even remotely appropriate. The news comes back on, once again reaffirming how terrible this character is, showing the Shougaibutsu being driven through Royal Woods, because Lincoln and Clyde simply couldn't play this out a little smarter, and now it is believed that the Shougaibutsu is in Royal Woods. A state of emergency is declared and the tree lighting that Lily was due to partake in is cancelled, and of all the things that have happened so far, this is what causes Lincoln to fix what he's done. Sure, the face and voice of Lily appearing and sounding heartbroken is hard to ignore, but the fact that's what pushed him on the right path, and you know, not any of this, is kind of frustrating. Lincoln admits that he is the Shougaibutsu to the local news. They reject his call, the most logical action to occur thus far, so he and Clyde dig it out from the woods and haul it over to the news crew, being followed by Mr. Worldwide, who I assume is testing a variation of the Majima Everywhere system. He is just scouting the woods in this specific area, not even close to the road and only a few feet from where the Shougaibutsu is parked. I am stunned at how this is not only a crazy coincidence, but also how much of a bumbling fool you are. What begins as a long, drawn-out chase sequence between a bike holding up a heavy shell of two combined props outpacing a golf cart. Lincoln then proceeds to teleport in front of his own neighborhood, notices his own house, or at least that there is something in front of them, and then drives through the front yard, destroying their decorations. Giving birth to Lincoln Loud is not a liability I would wish on anyone.
Mom's gonna kill me!
Nope.
Also, Lisa goes out on her own to try and preserve the Shougaibutsu, and that's the excuse they use to have the Louds team up and finally do something. It's always amazing to me how when the show gets a bigger budget and runtime, they do nothing with the Loud sisters until the third act. I get Lincoln is the protagonist, but as we've seen so far of these movies, Lincoln's bizarre adventure can be very problematic, with nothing to bring him down to ground level. One of the most unlikable cartoon characters I've seen in some time. Lincoln and Clyde arrive at the mall where a bunch of people are still shopping despite a state of emergency being called. Somehow the most realistic thing to happen in this entire movie. Rip then somehow gets in front of them within 5 seconds, and as opposed to stopping and getting out of the vehicle, they instead pull the ultimate expectation subversion, turning away from the desired place to get out, and driving through the mall, causing potentially hundreds or thousands of dollars of property damage and then crashing. Lincoln Loud is not only a hate criminal, he is also very dumb. Lincoln actually takes the time to stop and let Clyde out of the Shougaibutsu very easily. Rip doesn't notice that the Shougaibutsu just shat out a child and gives chase. Lincoln crashes, exits the Shougaibutsu, Lisa fires the spray into Rip, who has a stroke and dies. Very sad.
Lincoln?
Welp, can't neurodivergent minor our way out of this one. Caught on live television in front of thousands of people and his own family. You would logically assume that he's been caught, exposed, screwed, fucked, if you will. Well...
I understand.
What?
I do too, bud.
Growing up is hard. Family is forever, Lincoln.
We're always tied together by our hearts.
So you're not mad?
Fellas, if your child says this after you rather leniently say you understand why they caused thousands of dollars in damage, caused a neighborhood terrorist incident, brought misery upon your entire family, and ruined your vacation plans, they need to be sterilized. This is a horrible lesson to teach kids, that there would be no anger if you did something this bad if your heart was simply in the right place. Now, I'm not what you would call a guy obsessed with morals. Those dipshits have done more damage to criticism than you could possibly imagine, but in a heartfelt scene in a show that actually aims to teach morals at the end of episodes, this feels rather undercooked. But whatever, Lily gets to light her tree. She was so excited by this that her face physically changed shape between shots, something I can now no longer unsee thanks to my crippling OCD. Then we get the obligatory ending dance sequence, of which I spent 75% of facepalming through my fucking cranium. Everyone gets to spend Christmas together. Lincoln is presumably not grounded, but is instead given 300 hours of community service for the property damage he caused. That's the only punishment he gets for everything he did over the course of the and there's nothing more to add other than the movie ending with the Loud sledding together with some hilarious looking CGI. And cut. No one genuinely expected this to be a good movie. Let's be honest with ourselves. Anyone who willingly chose to review this movie either did so out of obligation, out of monetary gain, a lack of faith in humanity, or all of the above. Guess which one I fall under. I believe in chasing success if I can make entertainment out of it, and the Loud House is a cash cow, a particularly foul, rotting cash cow, but it works. Raid Shadow Legends, give me a call. With all of this being said, do I really think this is a movie that endorses sociopathy? Of course not, we're just having fun out here. How's an honest YouTuber supposed to make a living? From a technical perspective, the movie is a total mess. Sound effects often feel unnecessary or hilariously misplaced, the CGI is for television, so that about sums it up. up, the film is competently but boringly shot. It's just a Nickelodeon live-action movie, one so successful that they apparently believed it was necessary to create a Loud House live-action series. Yes, a Loud House live-action series for Paramount+, whilst the current Loud House is getting a 7th season. That's not confusing whatsoever. I have to admit that I am rather curious as to the outcome. Whether I'll talk about or even watch it is yet to be decided. All I know is that I am, once again, always right. I apologize for having a massive cock and correct opinions on everything. It's not my fault. So long as this industry is interesting, I'll stick around. Like my man Sundowner said, Africa's getting a bit too peaceful. Wait, the corpos are getting a bit too peaceful, and making fun of it all is more fun than advocating against it, since realistically, most of you are fucking losers, and most of you will not change anything. This isn't cynicism, it's life advice. Don't take bad content seriously and rebel against the machine through online activism, because it doesn't work in the long term and makes you die. Just don't take corpo seriously and don't make an ass of yourself. It's possible to do both and you will be a lot happier. This speech may seem disjointed and disconnected from the rest of the video. It isn't. The video is merely a prologue, a zero-numbered entry in the Cartoon G canon. Just enjoy yourself. Anyway, A Loud House Christmas, 0 out of 10. Masterpiece, I hate it. See you later, and remember, a brighter future comes from unity, and we're quite far off. See you when I see you.